Harmeet Dhillon, the perfect person to talk to about this, Assistant Attorney General for the Civil Rights at the Department of Justice. Harmeet, good to have you back on. Your first off, just top line thoughts on what we saw this week with the SPLC.
Well, the SPLC indictment by our criminal lawyers here at the Department of Justice is truly earth-shattering because it rips away the veil from the facade of the Southern Poverty Law Center being this venerable organization that fights discrimination based in the Deep South. What we have found is that that kind of discrimination in America today is actually in very short supply. So for SPLC to continue to fundraise off of that premise, they had to manufacture it themselves. And this 11-count indictment shows a paper trail of numerous payments to some of the most hateful groups in America, which have almost no presence, really. The Ku Klux Klan and, Patriot Front and these other groups that a lot of us suspected, because, I'm a longtime conservative. You look around and I don't know any people like this or encounter them or see them, and yet suddenly they're popping up all over the place, and SPLC fundraises off of them. Beyond that, Biden campaigned off of defeating Republicans because of this false narrative. And so I think you're just seeing the beginning of this, and I think that you're seeing the DOJ start to pull on a thread that's going to go way deeper and end up ensnaring a lot more people than the ones just than what we've seen in this indictment.
I mean, Joe Biden used this as it was a fake excuse. It was BS, but he said this was the reason that he ran for president was because of Charlottesville, which was heavily funded by the SPLC. And again, like you said, this is in short supply. This brand of racism, this white supremacy of a darker history of this country doesn't really exist in any great form anymore, but it is paramount to the mission of the SPLC and to the NAACP to make sure that people think that it is, because that's the survival, I think, of the Democrat Party. If they don't have a villain, if they can't claim there's a victimhood in this country, what do they have? What do they have to run on without it? I want to talk a little bit more about the Southern Poverty Law Center. They actually expressed concern over your nomination for your position, saying your record raises serious questions about your commitment to protecting the civil rights of Black and brown communities, as well as the LGBTQ plus community. Adding, throughout Harmeet's career, she's been involved in more than a dozen lawsuits across the country that tried to restrict people's voting rights and defended discriminatory redistricting. What's your reaction to that?
Well, look, I think I'm vindicated by this, frankly. And frankly, if you're a conservative today that the SPLC hasn't gone after, I'd have some questions about you, because how effective are you as a culture warrior if they think you're benign? So I've never done any lawsuits involving restricting anybody's voting rights. But the left definitely thinks that if you want one person, one vote, and all those votes to be American citizens, that that's some kind of discrimination. Like, what does that say about them? And the other attacks, I mean, apparently I'm the wrong kind of brown or Black person. And so that's kind of racist in and of itself. But look, at the end of the day, I've had a lot of journalist friends, Andy Ngo, clients, and groups that I've represented who've been targeted by the Southern Poverty Law Center. I think that, to me, this is very personal. They've taken square aim at the First Amendment in this country, a value that I cherish and have dedicated my entire 33-year career to fighting for. And it's about time that we see some accountability. But look, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think you see a lot of these protests, these ICE protests, funded by Neville Singham and other people like that. You're seeing foreign funding for a lot of the disruption in America because we don't have organic disruption. This is the best country on earth. People love to be here. Like, what is there to be upset about? My God, it's such a blessing to be here in this country every day.
You have to destroy this country some way. You have to figure out a way. You got to make it seem a lot worse than it is. I just want to get to this real quick. You announced on X today the DOJ is challenging Colorado's law that forces AI companies to discriminate based on race, sex, and religion, all in the name of DEI. Proud to intervene in XAI's lawsuit. Look forward to protecting some of our nation's greatest technological innovators. Tell us what you're talking about here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very important lawsuit. XAI a couple of weeks ago challenged a Colorado law that's going to go into effect unless it's enjoined in June of this year. It requires companies like XAI to alter their algorithms to inject race, sex, religion, and other protected characteristics into the outputs. And that's discriminatory. It violates the 14th Amendment. On top of that, they're giving a carve out if you're doing discrimination, but it's for a good purpose. So if you're boosting historically discriminated against groups, that's okay. So you have to make value decisions in the algorithm on that. And that's going to really impact all of us being able to have neutral tools to advanced technology like AI, which is an important tool. So this is a really important first case. We're happy to join it with the civil division here at the DOJ, and I'm pretty confident of victory in this case.
I love it. Harmeet, handling civil rights over at the DOJ. Good to see you again. Thank you. You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.